Shogun 2 Total War is a game about catering to your most primal desires, such as growing copious amounts of rice, being a good Christian, slaughtering your close relatives, and wiping out the land of Gacha from the annals of history to prevent the dystopian future in which we live from ever happening. You get to play as the example of peak male performance, a low-poly model of a Japanese man leading one of 12 clans during the Sengoku period of Japan, a time where political relations were quite similar to those of contemporary Europe, and your one and only job is to paint the map by any means necessary.
Oh my god.
The gameplay loop of your average Total War game can be comprehended by an emotionally damaged ape. But that has never stopped it from being more fun than a midnight piss where you conveniently forgot to turn the lights on. All you have to do is engage in some advanced diplomacy by declaring total war on your nearest neighbor. Then, after executing a grand strategic plan reminiscent in quality to that of the Russian invasion force, take all of their cities and assert your dominance by turning them into temporary tax havens to appease the proletariat. And if that strains your economy too much, steal everything
And erase the city.
Land battles and sieges in Shogun 2 are the best part of the game, and play to the strengths of the franchise, as the combination of unit balance, physics and sheer gore serves to immerse you in your role as a genocidal maniac. The rules of combat are simple. Spearmen, known as Yari Ashigaru, beat cavalry, archers beat spearmen, and cavalry beats archers. All other units are obsolete, but you will use them regardless, because sending people to the stratosphere is entertaining. Naval battles also exist, and can be fun if you play them as intended.
But that's not what real gamers do.
So most of them get reduced to you running away from the enemy's ships while using manual aiming to outrange them. At least that's better than having no naval battles at all. Budget well spent, I guess. The lore of the game is very deep. The main game is based during the Sengoku period, a time when the authority of the Emperor and the Shogunate had fallen to an all-time low, and because of that, Japan turned into the largest anarchy server on the planet, where the size of your cock was linearly proportional to that of your army. This is all very well illustrated by the diplomatic system, in which the only way to guarantee that an alliance would exist for more than one turn is to sell your child. You get to experience this as one of 12 highly historically accurate clans, each having a unique trait and a starting location paramount to your success. The true representatives of the working class, possessing the strongest version of the strongest unit in the game, the Yari Ashigaru, and having reduced upkeep on all Ashigaru units. This single-handedly makes them the most broken faction in the game. And not to forget, this is the faction of the main character and Sigma God himself, Oda Nobunaga. Not only that, but the Oda get a relatively easy start, as they are already in a war with the Tokugawa and can take over Kyoto with a relative ease. The Bold faction that doesn't even have the strongest ships in the game. Obviously they failed to get the memo that gunpowder exists.
Damn sexy pirates though.
The Shimazu are arguably the easiest start in the game, as they get to participate in the crypto market before all other clans. And if you manage to bankroll your way through the holy town of Jerusalem, you've pretty much won the whole game, as the island of Kyushu is responsible for 90% of Japan's GDP. They also get to have the strongest katana samurai in the game, but that doesn't really matter, cause they also get to have whatever the fuck this is. A faction based entirely around diplomacy, in a game where diplomacy doesn't exist. Specializing in the hiring of ninjas and angry short bald men. A thoroughly cuck backstabber faction that goes for 100% historical accuracy by doing absolutely nothing and waiting for everyone else to kill each other so that they can swoop in and claim the victory. The Uesugi are led by the 15-year-old Uesugi Kenshin. A devout Buddhist who will judge your modding choices, and a man of many virtues, religious tolerance not being one of them. Their gameplay revolves around asserting yourself on the local horse enthusiast, while passionately recreating the script of Brokeback Mountain. Also, there is a pretty solid case for Kenshin being a woman, so...
Prank him, John.
You already know.
The Takeda are all about their horses. They possess the best cavalry in the game and get reduced upkeep on all cavalry units. But all of that doesn't matter because Ashigaru exists. And also, the last time I checked, horses can't scale walls. And at least 50% of the battles you fight will be sieges, so good luck. The Chosukalmen are one of the strongest factions in the game, solely due to the fact that archers in Shogun 2 are the 15th century equivalent of precision artillery and can often outmatch gunpowder units. Also in the early game they get to be part of the banking class because of the increased income they get from rice farms.
Bosna и Hercegovina.
The Hojo, the only clan to have early game sieging potential. They sort of have a thing for firecrackers, and also get a discount on repairing castles after you've torn them to shreds, which is the game's way of telling you to Zergarush the shit out of the rest of the map. They also get to play the third wheel in the intense homosexual relationship of the Takeda and the Uesugi, so if being cooked is your thing, you know who to pick. The Iko Iki are your average run-of-the-mill fundamentalist terrorist organization, based around brainwashing the population and fighting off literally everyone on the map. They get to have the largest units in the game in terms of manpower, which makes them one of the strongest factions, but that doesn't change the fact that they will get the train run over them for the sin of following a bold man.
Recommended only for real gamers.
The Date are just like the Takeda, but instead of throwing horses, you throw angry men, wielding 5-foot-long swords, charging at all of your problems. Not that you have any, as you're the only major clan in the whole of northern Japan. Playing the Date can be challenging, as it requires a strong mind not to fall asleep during the 10 turns it would take for your army to reach the closest town. The game has 2 major DLCs, both covering different time periods. The Rise of the Samurai, which is all about horses and drowning babies into the sea, and The Fall of the Samurai, which is about Americans introducing Japan to the concept of war crimes. Should you play the game? Yes, especially if you like historical strategies, because we won't be seeing any of them from Creative Assembly for quite some time. Also, co-op makes it even better, as both players get to micro the same army, which leads to truly epic levels of gamer sweat. Thanks for watching.
Call me teacher, turn that paper. Hand that shit over now, I ain't coming back later. Damn. Mr. Krabs, the way money grab penny.